Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Those of you who are listening by radio on MPB, welcome. Those of you who are watching the live stream from wherever you are, welcome to y'all too. You can see the pictures and other folks can't. And those of you on the radio, if you're not sure what we're talking about, you can go to this program on live stream where me and Java and all the pictures and the stuff I'm talking about, you can see them. If you can't tune in live during the program, by all means, go to YouTube anytime, YouTube, and then click on type in Gestalt Gardener, and you can listen and see all the time. Hey, Java, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fine, Felder. I'm gonna throw a little caveat in there. It would be wonderful if people would go and subscribe to the Mississippi Public Broadcasting YouTube page, and that way we'll be kind of at the top of their algorithm for YouTube. And every time we post a new video or we get ready to go live, it'll be like at the top of your YouTube screen. So if you find Mississippi Public Broadcasting on YouTube, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button, and then you won't have to do that searching thing anymore.
Okay, we boomers are hearing what you're saying, Mr. Millennial.
It's not a hard thing. It's a bell. It's a bell, and it says subscribe. You hit the button, and then it says subscribed.
Okay. Well, anyway, next little while we're gonna get dirty. Looks like we finally getting some sunshine today and tomorrow, all the way from North Memphis down to the Gulf Coast, which is great because Java, I've been watching, I'm over in England. We're having 80, 90 degree gust, gale force winds right now. Trees are falling everywhere, but who's ever heard of playing ice hockey on the streets in New Orleans?
I wish we were in New Orleans on that day, because we were predicted to get, maybe an inch or 2 inches of something here in central Mississippi, but we got absolutely nothing. While everybody below of, I guess it was I-20, just got buckets of record snow.
I've been a lot of folks who are on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook page have been posting pictures. I mean, there was like 7 inches of snow in Ocean Beach.
Yeah, all of the beaches in Houston were covered with snow. Like you said, Bourbon Street in New Orleans were covered with snow. But I know they got some wonderful photographs, so I'm gonna have to search that.
Yeah, I need to go back and revisit the one where they showed them playing ice hockey in New Orleans. I hope that was a puck that they were playing with, but it might have been a beer bottle.
Well, it's New Orleans, so you never know.
Well, this is a live calling program, so I'm hoping folks tune us in. And we've got Kevin Farrell, who's our phone group. By the way, Jeff, I came up with a new thing. This is a new idea. I wanted to try this for the introduction, but I haven't worked out. Listen to this. Welcome to MPB, what I call Mississippi Pub Band. Broadcast live from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Complex in Jackson, broadcasting from 8 powerful towers located statewide to bring different headliners to you, Monday through Friday, right to wherever you are. I'm horticulture and gardener Felder Rushing, your current host. The ringleader of the show is our awesome producer, legendary Java Chapman, keeping the rhythm going, with Kevin Farrell managing the lineup and our Backstream Live team, Sahana and Blake making everything look great. Sit back, relax, and get ready to get dirty.
We got a few tweaks, but I like it.
Ringleader, keeping the rhythm going. That's what you do, my friend. So, hey, by the way, in your garden, I don't know if you've been out looking around, but you had some camellias that were blooming last week. If you look down, are they brown and drippy? Or
they are so brown. I felt defeated. They're so brown now. They're brown and droopy. Yes, they are.
Yep. But we went out and we enjoyed them while we had them. That's the whole idea. Gardening is not. It is long haul, but it's also the here and now, whatever you got going on. And I know things have been really, really rough, especially up in North Mississippi. It got down to single digits, which is rough. colder than it normally does, and it was sudden. So we're going to have some damage. And I've got a couple of things to share about what you should do, what you should not do. But the main thing is, even though it's nice and sunny, it's not really warm, but it feels warm outside. You're going to want to get out and do some stuff. I would recommend holding off on pruning anything. If your elephant ears are brown and mushy, cut them down. If you got banana plants or candles, whatever, cut that. But if you're not sure about shrubs and all, give them some time. Because a lot of times after a week or so, what looks bad actually starts to look better. And some stuff that looks pretty good right now may not look so good in a week. So I would hold off on a week or two before doing any heavy pruning or anything out in the garden. Just relax a little bit. Kind of, you can't really savor this, but just try to calm down, not do too much right off the bat. Let's just wait and see what it looks like out there. No big rush to prune damaged stuff. So anyway, it's just one of those things. So by the way, Java, let me throw out something else. Went to my local pub the other night, and
the one you walked to right around the corner.
Oh yeah, well, it's about a half a mile, but it's a little local pub, traditional pub. It's where everybody goes. It's not a bar, it's a pub, a family type thing. But anyway, I learned a new word. I'm chuffed to be with y'all today. Chuffed to be with you.
What is that? You're gonna have to break that one down for me.
I'm glad to see you. Good to see you. I'm chuffed. Or something makes me happy, I'm chuffed.
We got to do the etymology of that word or something. They're gonna have to break that one.
I don't know.
See where that chuffed.
A couple of other things. Most common greeting when I walk down the street, people say hiya or hey up, or hiya. And the response is either not so bad or you eat. You all right? You eat? But anyway, okay. I think I'm getting a bad reputation of wisecracker. The other day, somebody called me a cheeky git, and I looked it up, and a cheeky git just means little cheeky, calm down, Phil.
Yeah, a little too playful.
Yeah, I'm not going to get too much more of it, but one of the things they occasionally we hear them say y'all because they watch cowboy movies. They'll say y'all every now and then. They have no idea what all y'all is, but what they do say is you lot. You lot means all y'all.
Ah, okay. So our y'all is when it's a gathering, it's you lot. Okay.
Yeah, and one other word I heard was somebody was talking about degging. Deggin, degging. I wasn't sure what that was. I looked it up. It just means to put water on plants. They go out digging.
They go out digging. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
We have a lot of listeners in Mississippi and around who are from the UK. We have a lot of listeners scattered all over Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee. And in case y'all wonder, these things are northern phrases. Java in England, Southerners are sort of like our New Englanders. They're not quite as open and cheerful. Up north in England, they're like we are. They'll talk to you in the line. They'll joke with you. They'll just chit chat. And we have sort of like a Mississippi accent, the Lancashire version of Mississippi. So anyway, I want to talk about gardening. I did send a bunch of pictures in case we don't have any callers, but we getting any callers yet?
Not yet, Kevin. He's going to be lining them up soon. I do want to say good morning to Danny in Flowood checking in on the YouTube this morning.
Hello, Danny. How are you? And if you email, let us know how. Oh, by the way, Danny, if you're looking at this, I use a background screen, a new one every week. And this one, somebody on Mississippi Gardening on YouTube had posted a picture they saw. They said it reminded them of me. Somebody put together a little. Okay, what is it, John? When you take different materials and you paste them together like a motif or
a mural, not a mural, but a collage, a mosaic.
Collage. They put together collage, and they had pine needles that looked like trees. They had a little man made out of leaves and bits of bark and stuff, and he's got a flat cap on like I wear, made out of an acorn. He's got pine needle, long hair, and he's carrying a big old brown heart made out of some flower petals. But anyway, they said it looked like me, and I'm thinking, yeah, I guess it does.
Did you just say an acorn?
Or
yeah, an acorn.
An acorn.
I'm trying to get I'm trying to get clarity.
Well, yeah, it's either an acorn or an acorn, but whatever the little nest is that an oak seed comes in.
Okay. All right. Oh, it's lost in translation. Tomato, tomato.
You're keeping it real, man. Keeping it real. I did mention that you really shouldn't do a lot of pruning right now, because again, there's going to be some damage shows up. One of the things to look for a little bit later, if you've got azaleas, cleara, um, pittosporum. There's quite a few shrubs that can take cold weather if they're used to it. But if we get a sudden hard deep freeze like we just did, sometimes it has sap in just under the bark, and that sap can freeze and it'll bust the bark. And that can kill a plant. We often see this after a sudden hard winter. So what you can do is go out in the next day or so and look at plants that are starting to look kind of faded or brown. Look down close to the ground, within a few inches or a foot or so of the ground, and see if the bark is split. That's normal on things like blueberries and some other plants. They have peely bark. But if you have plants that are browning out and the bark is split, if you don't do anything, that plant will die. It'll just suck itself dry quickly, but you can save them. If you have a plant that split the bark, you can cut it off below the split. And I know that seems brutal, but the plants will quickly sprout out in the spring because the roots are intact. They'll grow really, really well. So split bark can and often kills shrubs, but you can cut it off before there, and by the early midsummer, you'll have a nice little bush again. So anyway, it's just one of the things to look for if you have plants that don't look good. A lot of people have sago palms, Java. There's this, it's not really a palm, we just call it a palm, but it's like a little clumpy thing with ferny looking leaves sticking out from the middle. And they're going to turn brown, really, really brown. And that bothers a lot of people, doesn't hurt the plant. So there's two things you can do, well, three things you can do if your sago has got brown leaves, which should start showing up in a week or so. One is you can just ignore it. Brown is a color too. It's kind of interesting looking, and the new leaves will come out nice, no problems. Other thing you can do is cut them all off. The new growth will come out nice and clean in the spring. Or, and this is pure Felderall, you can spray paint them. You can spray paint them Mardi Gras colors. You can spray paint them green, purple, whatever you want, red. I've got one that's spray painted last year red. New leaves came out and I left the ribbons on. So it's kind of a cool plant. But anyway, sagos will have brown leaves in a big part of the state. Won't hurt the plant. Either cut it off, spray paint it, or just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. So,
Great advice, Felder. Let's get ready for our first break of the hour. And we do have Glenn on the road, want to join the conversation. And I'm line up some more of these YouTube shout outs. We got people checking in for the first time, and we appreciate them for being here.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about just gardening here, folks. I'm a horticulturist, retired horticulturist, but I'm also a gardener. Not a great gardener, a pretty good gardener. I know how to plant stuff. I know what to do, but I don't always do it because I'm lazy. I'm just a gardener. I don't do everything. I'm not in a race with anybody, so I lose plants too. My daughter checked on my garden for me yesterday. Said the water gardens were frozen, but I still had water running in my faucet, so at least I didn't break anything. She said some of my plants look a little rough, but we'll see what they look like soon enough. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, go back with more of the Gestalt Gardener. This is a live program, so give us a call. Toll free 1-877 MPB ring. Me and Java, we'll be right back. Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Love to talk with you about what's going on in your yard. I know a lot of you got real concerns. Some of you just not bothered because it is what it is. Very stoic about it. You know, it will always be worse. It will always be better, but we're going to get along with what we got going right now. But anyway, what we're here for today is to talk with you. We've got Glenn who's calling in from somewhere on the road. How are you, Glenn? Good morning.
I'm doing great. I need to know all about rhododendrons. I am up here in North Mississippi. I planted 42 rhododendrons last year. And some of them's died, some of them's doing good. And 20 years ago when I moved here, I planted rhododendrons, and they grew up probably 10, 12 feet tall and beautiful. I'm having a hard time with these now. And if you come up North Mississippi and go out in the country, and if you cannot raise azaleas because deers eat them all. I set out about 10 azaleas, and they're all eat up.
Right.
And a deer will hop over a 6-foot fence or just like it's not there.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me how to raise rhododendrons in North Mississippi.
Well, a couple of things. Keep in mind that when you get up, you know, in your part of the country, you know, when we're starting into the foothills of Appalachia, the foothills of the Smokies, is where you start seeing rhododendrons. You know, a lot of northern plants won't grow in most of Mississippi because it's too hot. We get too much rain in the spring, too hot and dry in the summertime, and it's too hot at night. But so you start seeing rhododendrons from you up towards New England. You know, that's where you see them. You're not going to find them Hattiesburg South. There are some native rhododendrons, but in general, what you're talking about really wants to be further north. Matter of fact, they're weedy. They spread all over the place in England, Ireland. They're just considered invasive species. What they need is good drainage, because if they get 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, that can rot their roots. They're easy to get root rot from heavy soils or staying wet. So working the soil up, not a little hole, a wide hole, nice big hole, and add a little peat moss or something to your dirt so the rhododendrons will think they're in kind of a woodsy soil. That's the first thing. Good strong root system, nice and deep, raised up a little bit so you don't have to water them so they don't stay wet in the wintertime. And then you've got to water them in the summertime because they need it. But if you keep them wet, they rot their roots. So what I do is dig a wide hole, add some stuff to it, loosen up the potting soil of your plants when they come out of the container, loosen those roots up, and then only mulch them really well and only water them really good and deep every 2 or 3 weeks. First summer, maybe every week or two because they're new plants. No more than once every week or two, but at least every couple of 3 weeks or so, a good deep soaking. Let them get dry between soakings. That's going to be important because, again, they really don't want to be, you're at the southernmost range of where it's possible to even try to grow them. So that's the main thing. They also do best in light shade. They don't want to be out in broiling hot sun. So if you can put them where they get maybe some morning sun or protection from the middle of the day, other than a good soil prep, occasional deep soaking, a little light shade, that's about it. And it's going to be a matter of luck in some cases.
How do you fertilize them?
Well, I wouldn't fertilize any container grown plant the first year. Whether it's when you get a plant the first year, it's already been pushed to the max at the wholesale growers. First year, nothing, just a good soaking, maybe some bark mulch. Second year, any kind of all-purpose slow release flowering shrub food, azalea, rose, anything, tomatoes, anything that's for flowering plants that is slow release, not triple 13 or triple 8, just a good tree and shrub flowering fertilizer, and just use a scant handful, less than recommended amounts. So we want to keep these things lean and mean rather than to push them to the max where they're going to be kind of overblown and weak.
Okay. I built the beds up with oak leaves, pine straw, and it's about a 4 to 6 inch bed, and then they're dug in the bed about 4 to 6 feet apart, about 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Does that hurt the roots or anything? Covering all that up with leaves and debris?
No. This is what happens in the woods. You take a walk around in the Smokies in the fall around the rhododendrons, they're ankle deep in leaves. This is normal. That actually feeds the plants. But you've already planted these, right?
Yeah, I planted them.
Okay, what
Yeah.
I would do is I would take a shovel and whatever size hole you dug, if you remember what size hole, I'd take the shovel and just outside that hole, I would crack it another shovel or two wide, just loosen it up out from your original hole so roots can go out as quick as possible. If they stay really, really wet, in a tight little hole, they're going to get root rot. Root rot is one of the biggest problems growing rhododendrons in Mississippi. So make the holes a little bit wider and let's take it from there. Try not to push them.
Okay. I have had several of them to die. I've got about 36 or 8 of them left. And a few of them looked like they were doing really good, and then the leaves got light green, and then they wrinkled a little, and then they just slowly died. And I'd done everything. I'd done a rain dance around them and everything, and it didn't happen.
Rhododendrons Rhododendrons are highly susceptible to root rot diseases from staying wet even 2 or 3 times. They're real sensitive to too wet and too dry and too hot at night. They're borderline plants, so you're gonna have to baby them. But again, baby them doesn't mean keep them wet and fertilized. Water good and deep. Give them a little fertilizer in the spring. Let them get dry between soakings, and they're either gonna make it or they're not. But you notice there's not a lot of rhododendrons at people's yards around town. There's a reason for that. They don't like it here. So
Let me ask
so
you
anyway,
one more question.
yeah.
We have some of the limbs on them. See, I had them in front of my house that done great right in front of the house. I had about 8 or 10 of them, and they would almost. I have a 2-story house, and they went up about to the 2nd story, and a limb would rot and die, and I couldn't figure out what was killing that one limb. And I looked it up, and they said it was like a rot disease, and you just supposed to cut it off,
That's
and you're
it.
supposed to get okay.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
right around. Look for rhododendrons in people's yards. They're so popular, it makes sense that they did well, even okay. You see them around town. You don't. They're not great plants. They're challenges and they're worth it, but they're just not I wouldn't put all my eggs in that one basket.
Well, we have quite a few around North Mississippi. We have more rhododendrons really than we do azaleas because you cannot have azaleas up here because of the deers eat them up. They really, literally eat them.
I understand. 40 something years of understanding that. So
Now,
anyway, all you can do is give them a good soaking every couple of 3 weeks in the summertime and don't fertilize them too much in the spring. That's pretty much it. And if parts of it die, cut it off. And that's it. There's no sprays or root drenches, nothing like that. This is all we can do. I'm kind of bottom line on this because I've been working with it for so long.
now,
Good
Felder,
luck.
where do you you keep saying rhododendron really don't like it here? Where do they like it?
Well, they like it in cooler climates. You see them up north. You see them all. You go up around Gatlinburg, Tennessee. You get up in the Smokies. They're everywhere. You see them growing along creeks where they have good drainage. They got shade in the daytime, and they stay moist but not too wet. They're northern plants. There's a lot of plants that we wish we could grow in Mississippi. Lilacs come to mind. A few people grow lilac plants, but not unless you've ever been to the Lilac Festival in upstate New York. There's a lot of plants that we're at the bottom, just outside their normal range. Few people say, "Oh, I grow it all the time." Yeah, I've seen it. It doesn't look that great.
It's one of those Aunt Mamie things. Aunt Mamie, she had them for 100 years.
That's right, but she didn't have bananas like you see down in or oranges down in Florida. See, so we're a little too far north for citrus, unless you're along the coast. A little too far south for rhododendron, unless you live up in the extreme northeast. So anyway, that's just it's just what you know. Grow where you plant it. Find out what really really does well. And to me, a good alternative would be our native azaleas. They're also the deciduous azaleas. Some people call them wild honeysuckle. They come in pink and white and yellow and red and golden. Beautiful, incredible plants that grow well in Mississippi. They're native here. They're big, and they have flowers that are beautiful. They just drop their leaves in winter. So our native deciduous azaleas are also a type of rhododendron, and they grow great. They grow, and they want to be here. They want to be here. They grow wild.
Now, Felder, we're coming up close on our halftime part of the show, where we play our cheesy tune. And on the other side, I have a question for you. But before we do all of that, I do want to say good morning to Carolyn and Pass Christiane. I want to say good morning to Kendall in Mobile, Alabama. They're watching on the live stream. Also, we have AC in Carrollton, Mississippi, watching on YouTube, and also has a question that says, can I prune my 7-year-old apple trees now, or should I wait?
Well, that's a good question. This January and February is the time when most fruit trees get pruned. You can go ahead and do now. We got a nice weekend. If you've been pruning it regularly, just go ahead and thin it out. If you had never pruned it, just thin out some of the clutter in the middle and try not to prune it too hard. If it's never been pruned before, it's hard to rejuvenate a fruit tree without losing some of the fruit. So leave some of last year's twigs unpruned so you get a few little apples. But if you want to thin out some of the clutter, anytime you feel like it in January, February. So
AC, I hope we help you out.
Yeah. I left some bags of stuff for us to talk about. So while we're waiting for callers, we can talk about that when we come back. But I chose a cheesy tune because it's sunny today. It's a little reggae version of a real popular Beatles song called "Here Comes the Sun." I hope y'all get out and enjoy. Get out, put your hands out, put your face up, get you some vitamin D, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. But we're gonna take a quick break, me and Java, and come back with more of the Gestalt Gardener after this. Okay, welcome back, folks. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing here. John, while we were off, while we were listening to that cheesy tune, "Here Comes the Sun," somebody emailed in about something about a japonica plant. Did they have a question about it?
Yeah, they did. This is we got a question from Mac. Let me see if I can read it. See if my education comes through this morning. We have several large japonica plants near the house.
Yeah.
How will I know they have/can/will recover from this week's long visit from Snow Miser? I don't.
Yeah,
And
here's the deal. I'm pretty sure I know what they're talking about. Here's the deal. A lot of plants are named japonica, ligustrum japonica, rhododendron japonica. Camellia japonica, and that's probably what he's talking about. Japonica just means it was introduced from Japan.
And just for reference, Mac is in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, well, that he most likely talking about Camellia japonica. That's the ones that are blooming in the wintertime. Camellia japonicas are blooming in the winter with big flowers. Camellia sasanqua is the one that blooms in the fall. But japonica just means it came from a lot of plants named, but he's probably talking about the camellias, and they've got the big flowers. That's what you got in your yard. That camellia with the flowers that turn to mush. That's Camellia japonica. So I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. There's a whole bunch of other plants that could be called japonica without knowing any other names. I'm just going to have to guess. You're not going to be able to tell if it recovered or not for another few weeks, maybe even spring. Let's wait and see if new growth comes out. You can scratch the bark on a plant, and if it's brown under the bark, that part's been killed. I doubt a whole lot's been killed in Mobile. It got cold. It snowed, but it didn't get it down below the teens, which is what usually damages the plants themselves. I'd be willing to bet a lot of what we see in South Mississippi is mostly temporary or cosmetic damage. But I wouldn't do anything except maybe scratch the bark. If it's bright green right under the bark, it's fine. Leave it alone. And then this spring, when new growth comes out, you can tell whether, if any parts don't come out with new growth, and you cut those off. So anyway, not much to do right now except wait and see. Best horticulture advice is good gardening advice. Wait and see. Don't worry about anything right now. Let's just wait and see. Give it a little time. I'm pretty sure about that.
Now, Mac did put a part two to this question, or a second question in this email, talking about we have several invasive Chinese umbrella trees. I don't even know what those are. And they're trying to rid themselves of the umbrella trees. One is 30 or more feet tall next to a very mature oak tree. Others are just growing or under 10 feet tall. When these are cut down, what can we do to safely ensure no roots survive without harming nearby vegetation? Shout out to Matt.
I actually am on top of this one. That plant is what a lot of people call Chinese parasol. Fermiana simplex is the Latin name. I grow it in my garden. It comes up from seed every now and then, but I have 3 or 4 that I keep every year. But they make seeds that are up in those big leaves, and they'll come up all over the place. If you cut them to the ground, they sprout back out from the trunk. They're always going to do that. You can't get rid of it by cutting it down. But if you wait until spring, if you wait till sap starts coming up, if you cut them off to the ground and immediately, as you make each cut, put a little weed killer on it, a little shrub killer, just on the trunk itself, it'll suck down and kill the roots without hurting nearby plants. But the trick is you got to put it on while the cut is fresh, not 5 minutes later. So make a cut, put a little weed killer around it, tree and shrub killer. Used to be Roundup, and now it's whatever's got glyphosate in it. But if you'll do that in the spring when the sap is rising, and as soon as you make a cut, pour a little of this stuff around the edge where it gets into the trunk, that'll do a pretty good job. Otherwise, you're going to have to just keep cutting, and sooner or later it takes a couple of years, but it will peter out. I cut mine down every year and let them sprout back out so they don't get too big. And they still have beautiful foliage. I love the foliage. And the trunk is real bright green. It's a pretty plant, good fast shade plant, but you got to stay on top of them if you're not careful. And they can be a little invasive. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, one tree they said is 30 30 feet tall. That
Oh,
is,
they get much bigger than that. They got great big leaves. I cut mine down in the fall, Java, before they drop their seeds everywhere. Also because they got great big leaves. They're bigger than dinner plates, and they completely cover my yard, and you can't pick them up. So I cut them down before they drop their leaves, and that way I'm done with it. By the way, while we're talking, I don't know if you see this. See this little thing I'm playing with?
bag it up just a little bit. Yeah, it's like a. I have a kitty. I have Fat Cat at home. It looks like a hairball.
It is a hairball. I got it out of my own hairbrush.
Oh Lord.
It's a great, but listen, the reason I'm saying this because I can hang this out in a tree and birds will take it off, hummingbirds, and make it into nests.
Now that they will, I have seen the birds. They will grab just about anything and pat it down into a nest. Yes.
Well, if I keep shedding like I've been shedding, as I get older, I shed more, and I got this long gray hair. It's going to look like Spanish moss in my yard.
Felder. Now I did go into the bag, Felder, and you left me some I'm gonna just say some odd looking pots. One is a tea kettle, which is a pot. It's a tea kettle, but it's a pot. And then this.
No, wait. Look on the bottom of the tea kettle.
Yeah, it has the holes.
Yeah, I drilled a drainage hole in. It's an old ceramic tea kettle pot. They belonged to my grandmother. Put a hole in it, and I'm going to grow sedums in it. I'm going to grow stuff hanging out the spout, hanging out the top. It's going to be a pretty little thing.
Now, what are you going to grow in this paint can, though? What goes in here?
I haven't put holes in the bottom, but I had to repaint something that was kind of a lavender purple. And isn't that a pretty can? I mean, it's a ugly, funky, pretty purple paint can. But I'm gonna drill some holes in it. I'm gonna plant stuff in it because why not? You know, so many people want to know what can I plant in. As a matter of fact, we've got for if I don't know if we've got if Sahana and Blake, if they want to put up some pictures. I've got that purple paint bucket, a tire plant. I have a picture of a flower pot made out of a tire sitting on the ground, and it's been stenciled. It's been painted, look pretty. It's just a planter, but it's made out of a tire, and instead of an old, just plain old tire, I painted it. So it's a pretty tire, and you can hit it with the lawnmower or the string trimmer, not gonna do anything. It's just something to hold some dirt to grow some plants in. And by the way, I also have a picture of a tire that I found in your yard, Java.
Yeah, I know. You got my tires.
You didn't even know it was there. It was an old tire. It's up under some shrubs called nandinas. And this spring, I'm gonna come over and get your kid, you and your kids. We're gonna paint it up. We're gonna plant some stuff in it because a tire is some people say, oh, you can't use tire planters because they're just that's just poor folks. But they'll use half whiskey barrels. Whiskey barrels weren't made for planters, but you don't throw them away. You plant in them. You can do the same thing with tires. You can paint them. You can stack them up, whatever you want to. They're great little containers if you paint them to let people know you're just being trashy. So anyway, also, I think I've got a picture also of my truck. Now, you see my truck up, how many dozens and dozens of times.
Too many times.
All those things planted in the back of my truck, the sedums, the little dwarf agaves, the rosemary, the iris, the flowers, the kale, all the oregano, all that stuff is planted in a metal box with holes drilled in the side, exactly like that paint bucket you've got, except it's a pot I had custom made to fit in the back of my truck. It's just a bucket of dirt with drainage holes and stuff planted in it. So anyway, I left some different kind of containers in there. I don't know how, maybe that's the only ones that were in that pot. I don't know.
No, you left, it was, and we've been showing the pictures on the YouTube of, you left a green one, this little, I think this smaller green pot looks store-bought or maybe even handmade. I don't know.
It is handmade. Notice it says McCoy on the bottom.
Yeah, on the bottom of the pot, it does have a MCCOY and then a USA.
That is a collectible container. So ceramic container is actually worth quite a bit. McCoy was a sort of a funky avant-garde type of container maker, and all the garden club ladies used them. And that belonged to my great grandmother. But this is ceramic. The reason I wanted to mention that because the other one that I had painted is made out of clay. And on the inside is kind of a brown clay. If you water that, the water soaks into it and can make it crack or chip or flake. See, ceramic doesn't soak in water. See, so people say, should you plant in plastic or ceramic or clay? Plants don't care. You just have to watch your watering is all. That's just an old clay pot painted up to be pretty.
Yeah, because these pots are the ones that you can. I would see a lot, stacked up at different stores and at the garden centers and stuff. But I didn't know if you overwater them, they would crack. That seems kind of.
Yeah. If you leave those outside when it rains, the water soaks in. If it freezes, it'll crack them to pieces. So anyway, there's advantages and disadvantages from watering, but some people say plants will grow better in plastic, they'll grow better in clay. Plants don't care. Just watch your watering. That's the big deal. But anyway, I just want to throw that out because I have a lot of different kind of containers. And the main point I wanted to make is a lot of people have got container gardens. They got flowers outside. They grow vegetables and herbs and stuff, but they don't use shrubs. I have containers out there that's got dwarf nandinas in them. They've got iris, they have cascading ivy. You can use big pots outside if you've got a patio or any kind of entertainment, or maybe just a porch. You can put pots out there and plant regular winter hardy landscape shrubs, small shrubs, cascading vines, things like that. You don't have to limit your pots to just tulips and pansies. You can have all sorts of things growing outdoors right now in the wintertime that are normally considered outdoor shrubs or ground covers or vines, and they look fantastic when you mix and match in a pot. So this time of year, where people are wanting to plant get ready for springtime. Don't get ready for spring. Do stuff now. Go to a garden center, get you some striped monkey grass and a dwarf nandina and some ivy, and put them in a pot and have something right now you can enjoy. And then in the springtime, put them out in the yard and then plant your tomatoes in the pot. Don't wait, is what I'm saying. Gather ye potted plants while ye may.
Not the rosebuds, the potted plants.
There you go. Yeah, we see in a lot of cities. You see a lot of in Clarksdale. We've broadcast several times the Gestalt Gardener from Clarksdale. They have big planters downtown with all sorts of succulents and shrubs and stuff. And it looks great, and they don't need a bunch of care. And people aren't going to steal a nandina as likely as they're going to steal a tomato plant from outdoor planter downtown.
Now, Felder, before we
people steal plants.
Of course, who steals plants?
Yeah, a lot of people. I would say those of you who steal plants, Santa Claus is watching. He knows.
Let's take a phone call before we. Well, I don't know. We may not get to our last break of the hour, but we have Mary from Oxford calling in, wanting to join the show this morning.
Good morning, Mary. How are you doing?
I'm all right, but I'm concerned about Amaryllis. I have two Amaryllis bulbs. One was given to me by a friend 3 years ago. It was bloomed beautifully, and it didn't get any water. And the next year it bloomed beautifully.
Yeah.
And then I planted it, and it's just leaves now.
Well,
So,
I grow Amaryllis too. Now you planted it outside though, right?
No, I planted it inside. Well, I planted it with elephant leaf type thing, philodendron, and it just became leaves.
Right.
But I moved the philodendron in the wintertime. It's huge now. It takes up a quarter of my back porch.
So what's your question about your Amaryllis? I didn't get the question.
Why is it not blooming? Why is it just putting out leaves?
Well, Amaryllis are native to South Africa. They grow along riversides and creeks and all. They want to be out in the sun. They grow in New Orleans. They grow in my yard in the full sun in Jackson. They can grow in North Mississippi in a sunny flower bed, but indoors, they're not getting enough energy. They need real, they thrive on solar radiation, not just light from the light. They need light. They need fertilizer. They need warm temperatures. It's an outdoor plant that will grow for a while indoors. But if you want to rebloom this spring, set the pots out in the sun, give it a little bit of fertilizer, regular flowering plant fertilizer, set out in the sun and use it as a foliage plant all summer. And then you can bring it into the winter and it'll bloom indoors. But it needs to be outside. A lot of tropical plants like philodendrons and rubber trees, they don't need to flower. See, so they grow inside just fine. But Amaryllis needs sunshine and water and a little fertilizer. So to get it to keep reblooming, you have to set it outside.
Put it in dirt and water it, because the one that bloomed beautifully was just the bulb. It didn't have any water all for 2 years, just about.
I know,
And
and it's suffocating. It's dying. It's not doing well. They want to, when you plant them in the ground next year, you'll have two or three of them. They actually spread and multiply and grow. But yours isn't getting enough energy to even survive very long, much less flower. So it's not a gimmick. It's a real plant. It needs to be put in some soil with water and fertilizer and give some sunshine. That's what they need. Otherwise, they just gradually peter out. But if
yeah,
you think
well,
about,
I had it outside all summer, and
Mhm.
then I was afraid it was going to freeze, so I brought it inside. It's
Yeah.
still planted with the philodendron, which is inside.
Yeah. Well, all I can say, I've been growing amaryllis most of my life, and and it's just like some daffodils. You plant in the ground next year, you'll have two or three in there. They actually spread and multiply, but you might want to put in a little bit bigger pot, give it a little fertilizer, and let's just see what happens.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
good
it.
luck. Stay warm.
Next, Felder,
John?
let's go to Billy in Benson. Wants to join the show this morning.
Hey, Billy. Good morning. Where are you? Benson, Benton. What is it?
Yeah, Mississippi. Let me
Okay.
ask you a
What's up?
question. I get several magazines from companies that sell seed and plants, and I got one today that they going to sell some grafted tomatoes. Is there anything to that? Will it be the bigger tomatoes and better, or the same thing?
No, grafted tomatoes is where they take a one variety of tomato and graft it onto another, or you can actually graft tomatoes onto potato plants because they're so closely
Yeah.
related. It's a weird combination because they grow different seasons. But all you do, whatever the grafted part is, that's all you get. Whatever it was originally, that's what you're going to get. The advantage of grafting is a lot of times there are plants that have better, stronger roots than others.
Mhm.
So they find one that has good roots, maybe not a great tomato, they'll cut it off and they'll plant a good tomato variety on top of it. So the good tomato type has got better roots. But no, it does,
So
other than what's that?
if I buy some, yeah, I get better tomatoes than if I didn't do it.
No. No, it'll be the same tomato. Whatever the tomato they grafted on there, that's what you get. The plant may be a little bit more vigorous, but the tomatoes are
Yeah.
going to be the same. That's a genetic thing.
You
I'm
call
real
what you
sure of that.
graft on a scion, isn't it? Some word like that.
Yeah, the
Cyrene
top
and
part,
rootstock.
the top part is the scion. The bottom part is the root stock. But the root stock may give
So
it more vigor or disease resistance, but it's not going to change the type or flavor of the tomato. Not going to. Real sure.
they had a tomato called Bizak. It grows tomatoes 4 pounds. I just want to try that and see if it work or not.
Yeah. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. You're going to need a bigger stake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I'll try it there.
Okay, good luck on it. Good luck on it. Hey Java,
Yes, sir.
I came up with a new word, something that is a Scottish word. I've been Herkel Durkling a lot.
Herkel Durkling. Okay.
Durkling, Herkel with a K, Durkel with a K.
I
And you do it too. If Crystal takes a kid someplace and you just hang out laying around on the couch watching TV
uh-huh.
when you know you ought to be up doing something else, that's Herkel Durkling.
Okay, I was gonna say don't put that on me, Felder, but yeah, I guess I do Herkel Durkel if that's
Herkel
what if
Durkel is when
that's
you
what it
just hang out.
means.
You stay in the bed later, you lay around on the couch, you're doom scrolling. Instead of doing stuff you ought to get up and do, it's called chilling, just chilling. And we all need to do that. Some crazy stuff going on right now. No matter who you are, there's some crazy stuff. A little Herkel Durkel never hurt anybody.
Yeah, Herkel Durkel is one of the tenets of I think Zen. You need to Herkel Durkel every once in a while.
Yes. Well, gardeners need to do it this month. This month, for the next couple of 3 weeks, it is too early to start tomato and pepper plants. It's too early. Wait till the middle of February because you don't need to set them out till end of March or 1st of April. So you don't need to start them early. They'll get long and leggy. You don't need to do any pruning right now. Plant you a pot, do something, but just mostly Herkel Durkel in the garden. There, I said it.
We gonna have to get some buttons or something. I Herkel Durkel. Do you? Put it on a t-shirt.
Yep, that's right. Anyway, it's not a rude phrase. By the way, there's some interesting rude phrases I hear in England too. Flippin' heck, bloody hell. What they mean is, what?
Now, Felder, when you come around, do some of the people automatically like put like a southern draw on, trying to sound like Felder?
Every time I open my mouth and somebody says, "Where you from, mate?" I say Mississippi. They all go MISSISSIPP. They all do that. But Mississippi is well known in the UK for its music, its cuisine, culture. People all, they all think of Elvis and Oprah. They think of the blues. They think of rock and roll. They think of all that stuff. The culture of Mississippi is extremely popular in Northern England. And so one of the, when we were in Clarksdale last year broadcasting the Gestalt Gardener from the cooperative, from the garden center there, I got one of those blues festival.
Juke Joint Festival.
Juke Joint Festival poster, brought it back, put it in my pub, and I'm like a hero because I've been there. I said, I've been there. I'm from there. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, Java. When I get back in not too long from now, I'm giving a program on growing fruit in the landscape, home fruit for the landscape. If anybody's interested in publications on good daffodils and good roses and good fruit, shoot me an email. Go to garden@mpbonline.org and email me. I know it's sunny out there, kind of warm. It's going to get your juices going. It's too early to be gardening unless you grow some stuff in a pot. Take your time, relax, herkle-durkle a little bit. And if you have a chance to show a kid how to plant some stuff in a pot, do that. But don't be doing too much in the garden right now. It's the wrong time. Relax. And we'll talk to you next week. See ya on the YouTube.